Hello there. Resuming our reading of stories, short stories called Malgudi Days by R.K. Narayan. We have already finished several stories. Today's story is titled Father's Help. So, in this Father's Help, let us start. Lying in bed, Swami realized with a shudder that it was Monday morning. So here we have Swami back into the short story scheme. We had an entire novel titled Swami and Friends, which we finished earlier in the month. And now in this short story, Swami is featuring. Swami is a young schoolboy, about 8 or 10 years old, and we saw so many of his adventures in school in the last book. Now, in this collection of short stories, this story is about Swami. Swami realized with a shudder that it was Monday morning. He was lying in bed, and it looked as though only a moment ago it had been the last period of Friday, and already Monday was here. Oh, he hoped that an earthquake would reduce the school building to dust. But that good old building, Albert Mission School, had withstood similar prayers for 100 years and more. So at 9 o'clock, Swami wailed, "Oh, I have a headache. I don't want to go to school." His mother said, "Why don't you go to school in a jatka?" A jatka is a vehicle. It is just a bare two wheels and a seat, which is either pulled by a man or by an animal, maybe a cow or a horse or a mule or something. And it will go slowly and trundle over every pebble and every dip in the road and give the backbone and the pelvis of the passenger such a harrowing time, because there is no spring, there is no suspension, there is no cushion. It's just a plain wooden board, and at the two ends, two large wheels are there, and it is yoked to the the animal. So mother says, "Why don't you go to school in a jatka?" Swami says, "So that I may be completely dead at the other end. Have you any idea what it means to be jolted in a jatka?" So mother is asking, "Have you any important lessons today? Have you many important lessons today?" Important. That geography teacher has been teaching the same lesson for over a year now. And we have arithmetic, which means for a whole period we are going to be beaten by the teacher. Important lessons. So you get the idea of how the children regarded the arithmetic teacher. Arithmetic means the teacher would beat. That's it. And what was the other? Geography. Geography is monotone by the teacher going on talking, and the children absorbing nothing. At this age, I realized the glorious importance of geography. It is so fantastic a subject. But as a child of 8 or 10, Swami did not think so. And mother generously suggested that Swami might stay at home. That was a very kind thing of mother. At 9:30, when he ought to have been shouting in the school prayer hall, Swami was lying on the bench in mother's room. Father asked him, "Have you no school today?" "Headache," Swami replied. "Nonsense. Dress up and go," the father said. "Headache," Swami replied. "Loaf about less on Sundays and you will be without headache on Monday." Swami knew how stubborn his father could be and changed his tactics. "I can't go so late to the class." "I agree. But you'll have to. It is your own fault. You should have asked me before deciding to stay away from school. What will the teacher think if I go so late? Tell him you had a headache and so are late. He will beat me if I say so. Willie, let us see. What is his name? Samuel. Does he beat the boys? He is very violent, especially with boys who come late. Some days ago, a boy was made to stay on his knees for a whole period in a corner of the class because he came late. And that after getting 6 cuts from the cane and having his ears twisted. I would like to go late to Samuel's class. If he is so violent, why don't you tell your headmaster about it? They say that even the headmaster is afraid of him. He is such a violent man. And then Swami gave a lurid account of Samuel's violence, how when he started caning, he would not stop until he saw blood on the boy's hand, which he made a boy press to his forehead like a vermilion marking. Swami hoped that with this, his father would be made to see that he couldn't go to his class late. But father's behavior took an unexpected turn. He became excited. What do these swine mean by beating our children? They must be driven out of service. I will see. The result was he proposed to send Swami late to his class as a kind of challenge. He was also going to send a letter with Swami to the headmaster. No amount of protest from Swami was of any avail. Swami had to go to school. By the time he was ready, father had composed a long letter to the headmaster, put it in an envelope, and sealed it. What have you written, father? Swaminathan asked apprehensively. Nothing for you. Give it to your headmaster and go to your class. Have you written anything about our teacher Samuel? Plenty of things about him. When your headmaster reads it, he will probably dismiss Samuel from that school and hand him over to the police. What has he done, father? Well, there is a full account of everything he has done in the letter. Give it to your headmaster and go to your class. You must bring an acknowledgement from him in the evening. Swami went to school feeling that he was the worst perjurer on earth. Perjury is telling lie in front of a court. His conscience bothered him. He wasn't at all sure if he had been accurate in his description of Samuel. Now, this boy has just built up the story about Samuel doing this and that, and now he is feeling contrite. He wasn't at all sure if he had been accurate in his description of Samuel. He could not decide how much of what he had said was imagined and how much of it was real. He stopped for a moment on the roadside to make up his mind about Samuel. He was not such a bad man after all. Personally, he was much more genial than the rest of them. Often he cracked a joke or two centering around Swami's inactions. And Swami took it as a mark of Samuel's personal regard for him. But there was no doubt that he treated people badly. His cane skinned people's hands. Swami cast his mind about for an instance of this. There was none within his knowledge. Years and years ago, he was reputed to have skinned the knuckles of a boy in first standard and made him smear the blood on his face. No one had actually seen it, but year after year the story persisted among the boys. Swami's head was dizzy with confusion in regard to Samuel's character, whether he was good or bad, whether he deserved the allegations in the letter or not. Swami felt an impulse to run home and beg his father to take back the letter. But father was an obstinate man. As he approached the yellow building, he realized that he was perjuring himself and was ruining his teacher. Probably the headmaster would dismiss Samuel and then the police would clean him and put him in jail, would chain him and put him in jail. Now, this is Swami's imagination running wild. So, maybe the police would chain him and put him in jail. For all this disgrace, humiliation, and suffering, who would be responsible? Swami shuddered. The more he thought of Samuel, the more he grieved for him. The dark face, his small red streaked eyes, his thin line of mustache, his unshaven cheek and chin, his yellow coat, everything filled Swami with sorrow. As he felt the bulge of the letter in his pocket, he felt like an executioner. For a moment he was angry with his father and wondered why he should not fling into the gutter the letter of a man so unreasonable and stubborn. As he entered the school gate, an idea occurred to him, a sort of solution. He would deliver the letter to the headmaster immediately, but at the end of the day. To that extent, he would disobey his father and exercise his independence. There was nothing wrong in it, and father would not know it anyway. If the letter was given at the end of the day, there was a chance that Samuel might do something to justify the letter. So he's hoping for that. Swami stood at the entrance to his class. Samuel was teaching arithmetic. He looked at Swami for a moment. Swami stood hoping that Samuel would fall on him and tear his skin off. But Samuel merely asked, "Are you just coming to the class?" "Yes, sir." "You are half an hour late." "I know it." Swami hoped that he would be attacked now. He almost prayed, "God of Tirupati, please make Samuel beat me." "Why are you late?" Samuel asked. Swami wanted to reply, "Just to see what you can do." But he merely said, "I have a headache, sir." "Then why did you come to school at all?" asked Samuel. A most unexpected question from Samuel. "My father said that I shouldn't miss the class, sir," said Swami. This seemed to impress Samuel. "Your father is quite right. A very sensible man. We want more parents like him." "Oh, you poor worm," Swami thought. "You don't know what my father has done to you." He was more puzzled than ever Samuel's character. "All right, go to your seat. Have you still got a headache?" Samuel asked. "Slightly, sir." Swami went to his seat with a bleeding heart. He had never met a man so good as Samuel. The teacher was inspecting the home lessons, which usually produced, at least according to Swami's impression, scenes of great violence. Notebooks would be flung at the faces, boys would be abused, caned, and made to stand up on benches. But today, Samuel appeared to have developed more tolerance and gentleness. He pushed away the bad books and just touched people with the cane. Never made anyone stand up for more than a few minutes. Swami's turn came. He almost thanked God for the chance. "Swaminathan, where is your homework?" "I have not done any homework, sir," said Swami blandly. There was a pause. "Why? Headache?" asked Samuel. "Yes, sir." "All right, sit down." Swami sat down, wondering what had come over Samuel. The period came to an end, and Swami felt desolate. The last period for the day was again taken by Samuel. He came this time to teach them Indian history. The period Now, this is something we used to have teachers, some of them regular good teachers with good background, and these are elementary classes in school where children between 6 and 10 would go through very rudimentary, basic, fundamental lessons. So, whether it is mathematics, or whether it is geography, or whether it is history, any person could teach them. And these teachers had a training in how to talk to children and get the thoughts across. So, the same teacher came in the last period to teach them. Um, Hold on. The period came to an end. Swami felt desolate. The last period for the day was again taken by Samuel. He came this time to teach them Indian history. The period began at 3:45 and ended at 4:30. That is 45 minutes. This is said to be the appropriate interval during which children can have attention span, and by the time it reaches 40 minutes their attention starts to wander, and by 45 minutes they lose any attention at all.